Terrifying hospital encounter. In the desolate town of Willowbrook, there stood an old, eerie hospital known for its shadowy past. The air inside always felt heavy, and whispers of restless spirits echoed through its dimly lit corridors. Dr. Martin, a seasoned surgeon, had heard the chilling tales, but he never believed in ghosts. That is until one fateful night. On a cold, moonless evening, Dr. Martin found himself on the graveyard shift. The hospital was shrouded in an ominous silence as he made his rounds, checking on patients. As the clock struck midnight, he received a mysterious note instructing him to fetch some essential supplies from the basement. Reluctantly, he made his way to the antiquated lift. Its metal doors creaked open, revealing a patient inside, standing motionless. Dr. Martin exchanged a courteous smile, finding it odd that she hadn't selected a floor already. Ignoring the uneasy feeling, he pressed the button for the basement. The journey down was slow and eerie, the flickering lights casting eerie shadows on the walls. The patient remained silent, her gaze fixed ahead. Dr. Martin couldn't help but feel a chill running down his spine. Finally, the lift reached the basement floor. As the doors opened, Dr. Martin was startled to see a disheveled man limping towards the elevator. Panic seized him, and he quickly hit the button to close the doors, leaving the man behind. "Why did you do that?" "He was trying to use the lift," the patient said with annoyance. Her words caught the doctor off guard. "Did you see his wrist? It was red. He died last night." "I would know because I did his surgery," Dr. Martin stammered. The woman slowly lifted her own wrist, revealing a deep crimson hue. The doctor's heart pounded louder as he noticed the all too familiar scar on her wrist. It was the same man he had operated on the night before. "Like this one?" the woman asked, her voice dripping with an unsettling sweetness. Dr. Martin's mind reeled with disbelief and terror. He couldn't comprehend what he was witnessing. You should be dead," he managed to utter, his voice barely above a whisper. The woman's smile widened, her eyes glinting with an otherworldly malevolence. "I should be, shouldn't I? But there are some things even death cannot claim." His nerves frayed, Dr. Martin ran from the lift and hurriedly gathered the supplies he needed. As he rushed back to the lift, he contemplated taking the stairs, but fear drove him back into the metallic box. He couldn't bear the thought of encountering the eerie patient again. The lift descended slowly, each passing floor feeling like an eternity. Dr. Martin's mind raced with questions and fear. Who was that woman? Was she a ghost, a vengeful spirit haunting the hospital? He tried to reason with himself, seeking a logical explanation, but the evidence before him shattered his skepticism. When the lift finally reached his destination, the doctor stumbled out, his legs trembling beneath him. The encounter had shaken him to his core. He confided in a nurse about the haunting encounter, but she dismissed it as a tired mind playing tricks. Over the next few nights, Dr. Martin tried to convince himself that what he saw was a hallucination or a product of stress and exhaustion. However, his nights were plagued with sleepless torment. Whenever he closed his eyes, he saw the woman's ghostly face, her crimson wrist, and a malevolent smile. As days turned into weeks, the doctor's health began to deteriorate rapidly. Dark circles formed beneath his bloodshot eyes, and his hands trembled uncontrollably. He was haunted by the ghostly encounter, unable to escape its clutches. In his desperation, Dr. Martin delved into the hospital's archives, hoping to find some answers. He stumbled upon a faded newspaper article from decades ago, reporting a tragic incident that had occurred in the very same hospital. The article detailed a patient named Lily, who had died under mysterious circumstances after a botched surgery. The surgeon responsible for Lily's death was none other than Dr. Martin himself, in his previous incarnation. Overwhelmed with guilt and remorse, Dr. Martin realized that the patient in the lift was the vengeful spirit of Lily, seeking retribution for her untimely demise. Haunted by his past misdeeds and the malevolent spirit of Lily, Dr. Martin's sanity continued to crumble. He became a mere shadow of his former self, a broken man tormented by guilt and terror. One stormy night, as the rain poured heavily outside, the hospital's power went out, plunging the building into darkness. In the pitch-black corridors, Dr. Martin's frantic breaths mingled with the howling wind. He knew that Lily's spirit was drawing near, seeking to claim his life as he had once claimed hers. The doctor's trembling hands clutched a scalpel, his last line of defense against the vengeful spirit. With every passing second, he felt Lily's presence closing in on him. A cold breeze whispered in his ear, and he knew she was there. In a final act of desperation, Dr. Martin slashed at the empty air, hoping to ward off the malevolent spirit. But his efforts were in vain. A chilling laughter echoed through the darkness, followed by an excruciating pain in his wrist. The scalpel fell from his grasp as he clutched his bleeding wrist, now stained with crimson. He realized that Lily's spirit had found her revenge. As he lay there, gasping for breath, the darkness enveloped him, and the hospital became his eternal tomb. The legend of Dr. Martin and the vengeful spirit of Lily continued to haunt the town of Willowbrook. People whispered about the malevolent ghost that still roamed the hospital's halls, seeking out those who wronged her in life. From that night on, the hospital was abandoned, deemed cursed by the locals. But those who dared venture near the forsaken building reported hearing eerie laughter, feeling an icy breeze brush against their skin, and catching glimpses of a spectral figure with a crimson wrist. And so, the legend of the haunting wrist lived on, sending shivers down the spines of all who heard it, a bone-chilling tale of vengeance and terror that would be passed down from generation to generation, never to be forgotten.